You know, Mike, I kind of screwed up. We need some dramatic election night music, but all the music budget went to beef pot pie. How you doing?
Uh, it's we're still under a state of emergency, so that's understandable.
Yeah,
You got to put your money behind to the food budget. Don't worry about making these millionaires more of a millionaire.
exactly.
Music
Whoop.
licensing is like the new scheme. The music licensing, my God, it's
Well,
ridiculous how much we're paying on it for that podcast. It's stupid the amount of money, but we'll it is what it is. You got to spend money to make money, I guess they say. So that's what. But yeah,
but what you're talking about is the format that you've put together for the Thomas Paine podcast features kind of classic rock and appropriate songs for the stories. It's become part
yeah,
of the shtick.
part of the shtick. I like it. I like it. So it's going well. You and I were just gonna. It never works out the way we think it is. We said, oh, we'll just have a show tonight and we'll talk about the election results. There's a poll closing, blah blah blah. Polls are closing. We'll shoot the shit, and it'll be better than like Chris Wallace and these dopes. Well, it turns out it is going to be better because we're breaking some news on here. I thought I'd have the night off and I could just shoot the shit. Well, we're breaking some news on here. I might as well break it right now because I just put it out a few minutes ago. I didn't even have time to do a story. I think it's going to heat up tonight, the story anyhow. So
Hmm.
it could be a national story in a matter of hours. But I got called by top officials here in my home state of Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, that say that Secretary of State Kathy Boockvar has been breaking election law all day long in several counties, and she's about to be called on the carpet for it. That's what I'm told. And of course, Boockvar is as a crony of Democratic Governor Tom Wolf, who's looking for a cabinet position and will do anything he can try to get as a cabinet position under Biden. Okay, so
Whoa.
he's got Boockvar out there, and Boockvar is in charge of certifying election results in the state. And officials say she spent the day bending and breaking laws in several counties, and this is developing, and we're going to see how it plays out, especially if Donald Trump loses Pennsylvania. I think
Hmm.
this Boockvar broad is going to be a household name in a relatively short amount of time. Um,
Not in a good way.
Let me see here.
I tell you, Mike, I really do believe that there should be a special law that applies to officers of the court and officers of the law. If you are a lawyer or a cop or a judge who deliberately breaks the law, or a politician, someone who is specifically in the business of upholding and defending the law, there should be an even greater punishment, because if someone is ignorant of the law and breaks it versus someone who knows the law and deliberately breaks it, that's really worse, in my opinion.
Well, I don't disagree with you. I'm corresponding with somebody right now in Harrisburg, so
No problem. Keep
uh,
doing that. People who are watching us right now are aware that every week you and I are doing a sponsor exclusive show that people can watch on Subscribestar and Patreon. They can choose to sponsor either or both platforms by going to subscribestar.com/truepundit, patreon.com/truepundit, or subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. It's so important that we decouple from this corporate sponsorship, because, I mean, it's like what you're talking about with this first story, this cronyism. You know, this woman, Bookvar, obviously is being motivated by unjust purposes here to get her buddy Tom Wolf the cabinet position. I mean, this is cronyism. We don't want to be beholden to any single entity, some kind of powerful corporation or something like that. So by having the individual viewers sponsor the show, people know they're getting information that's for them. We don't have some corporation paying us off. So you're really hot on the trail of this information as it comes in. It's 7:30 here on the East Coast of the United States, and the polling places are starting to close. Oh, it says Mike Moore's tweet deleted. Is that true?
yeah, they probably did. They probably
I just clicked on it.
we've
Ooh,
temporarily we've temporarily
violated the
limited
Twitter rules.
some of your account features.
Whoa. So the whole Thomas Paine Twitter account just got election. Oh, because don't they have some rule about what happens when we click on Thomas Paine now? You're still there, but you can't tweet? Is that the idea?
I don't think I can tweet anymore. No, it's okay. Whatever. Listen. Whatever happens with them, I don't give a shit. It's like, look,
Wow.
this is the wave of the future, guys. On the fly, okay. I'm not going to stop from putting out news because it doesn't fucking meet their guidelines or whatever. I don't care, right? I don't care. I'll go do something else. I'm going to play it the way I've played it since I was a kid, since I was a young guy. So fuck them, and if they don't, whatever. So this story. What?
Osama bin Dorsey is deciding what can be discussed and what cannot be discussed, and it seems like True Pundit, Mike Moore, Thomas Paine, not on the list of pro-Dorsey stuff.
Yeah, well, it's breaking news. But you can't break news anymore, right? And the polls in Pennsylvania close in 24 minutes. I don't think the tweet was going to have a big effect, but it doesn't matter anymore. Here's what I'm talking about. This is why we've been trying to build out Patreon and Subscribestar, because Twitter's a dead platform. It's dead. You can't tell the truth on Twitter. You can't. It's dead. Facebook is dead. Twitter's dead. Whatever happens, happens. You understand? You can't go around in your life and pussyfoot around. The country is at a dangerous crossroads, right? And we need people who are going to tell the truth, and we need people who will follow those people, basically to the ends of the earth. And if they're on Twitter, okay, that's convenient. But if they're not, you got to follow them. You got to support them. I'm telling you this on the fly. The account is. I don't know if they whacked the account. Like I said. It's only a matter of time anyhow. It's not. We've already accepted that, right? We've already accepted that the playing field is so crooked that we can't compete on a crooked playing field. So why compete at all? And this is good information. It'll blow up. The story will blow up. It'll be a good story, like it always is. But what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to run and hide? No. So.
Right. Well, the good thing is we did get it on screen here during this show. I wonder if that'll impact Crowdsource the Truth's standing on YouTube. I hope it doesn't, but whatever. I mean, if it does, it does. I'm with you, Mike. If we have information coming from credible sources, no reason to believe that was incorrect. And frankly, if it was, there's plenty of major newspapers that have put, Twitter didn't stop the New York Times or CNN from tweeting when they started telling us about Donald Trump allegations of urination at a Moscow hotel, something for which there's been no evidence presented at all. But in the event that the information that we share tonight on any of these platforms gets us shut down, people could see the sponsor exclusive segment. We're going to start in just about 25 minutes on subscribestar.com/TruePundit, patreon.com/TruePundit, and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We had some progress, Mike, today with this standalone video server that we're making. These servers don't configure themselves, so it's been a little bit more complicated than the development team initially anticipated, but people who are sponsoring Crowdsource the Truth are helping to ensure a future where, ungroomed dopes like Jack Dorsey can't just pull down our stuff.
Well, yeah, if you could keep talking, I got to do a couple things here real quick.
No problem.
But I agree with you. It's fucking stupid. These guys are tyrants, man. History will treat them as tyrants, and it's not. We put a lot of work into Twitter, right? And we put a lot of work into building our platform and stuff, whatever the hell that means. But we can't fucking back off, even when they say, "Oh, you're not allowed to be here anymore." So what? You think we're going to go away? No. So we know it's rigged, and we know it's unfair, and it's to be expected. But what are you supposed to do? It's like it's a national story, what I just said, and it'll blow up into a national story. It always does. But look what they did to the New York Post. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a big deal. I just said the top officials in the state are saying that the Secretary of State is cheating.
It's crazy.
She's cheating all day long. and last night, and so we'll get more details as things go on. But we're kind of literally on.
What does the state level Secretary of State actually do?
She certifies the votes. She certifies the votes.
So
Like,
all year she's sitting around doing nothing, and every 4 years she
well,
certifies the votes and cheats?
they file the Secretary of State businesses file through Secretary of State corporations and things like that. They handle the corporations, but most of the time they're just political cronies. Okay, so bear with me.
I think we need to defund some of this stuff, not the police. Like, we're paying all of these bureaucrats who either do nothing or do the opposite of anything useful. And then, when somebody tries to attack and you need to call the police, nobody's calling the Secretary of State when they burn down the neighborhood. So, yeah, we're not supposed to talk about the election results, I think, because that, everybody is saying if you talk about it before they decide that Joe Biden has won,
Polls are
something bad
closed.
will happen.
Polls are closed in Pennsylvania, so who cares? And what? Who says I can't report the news? Fuck them. I'll say what I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Jack Dorsey and all them who say it. So does TruePundit.com have the real-time interactive election results, Mike?
Yeah, it's on there. You can check it out. It's on the top of the page. I'm sorry, I'm just in the middle of 35.
So here we go. The Senate is looking 36, is leaning towards blue, 31 red. Joe Biden is leading by 3 electoral college votes, according to this, Politico.
Right.
I don't really believe that, but okay. Now, when they have these lines here, does that mean it's not done yet? Tied. No results yet. So people are able to see these.
You gotta keep an eye on it for when the polls close. I apologize. Well, I gotta firing off emails to a lot of people and stuff. Look, it is just the way it is. You can probably explain to people what we have to face as independent journalists, and this is why we got on these other platforms. That people are saying, "Oh, it's behind a paywall." Why do you think it's behind a paywall? Because we want it to be? No, it's not behind a paywall. This is an exact. We go live. They limit the account because I have a breaking news. It's like, what? That's a national news story. Now, when Politico comes out with it, or the New York Post or whatever comes out with it, right? Then what? Then I'll still be fucking gone or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
it's
complete.
You don't get any benefit from the hard work. What people don't understand is that you've spent essentially a lifetime. You've built your career making these kind of contacts where people call you because they know that you've got the guts to put out information like this. You're not bound by corporations or political cronies who are going to, stop you from doing it. But yet they are doing everything they can to stop this information, whatever it might be, from coming out. So I think at this point, Mike, the only people who publicly, vocally object to having Subscribestar.com and Patreon.com/crowdsource the truth, or Subscribestar and Patreon/True Pundit, are people who are trying to, bust up our operation and prevent people from becoming sponsors, because they know if people en masse start sponsoring these things for really small amounts per month, like less than you would pay for cable, even if you start sponsoring a bunch of different people, they don't want that, this direct-to-consumer thing. When I was looking over the president of television's Twitter feed, I noticed that him and his friends who are in the corporate-sponsored television business, they were very interested in and concerned about direct-to-viewer payments, eliminating advertisers, because that's how their whole entire business has been built from day one, since television was invented. And they want that level of corporate control, because as long as they serve their corporate masters, they don't care what happens to everybody out there buying the poison products with hydrogenated oil and high fructose corn syrup, or whether it's cigarettes or booze or whatever pharmaceutical product is going to give you yawn, tremor, vomiting, diarrhea, sexual side effects. It's ridiculous. They just want to sell you whatever crap they want to sell you, not just in terms of the products sponsoring the show, but the information that they're giving as well. I think they're in panic mode right now, Mike, because it's been an absolute psychological, inundation of nonsense news for 4 years, and now the rubber is meeting the road.
Well, I don't know where they think this is going to go. I'll talk to you. Thank you for improving. This is a great story, okay? I won't back off a great story. I never have in my career. And I won't with some fucking weirdo with a Bin Laden beard. I won't back off it. You know, he can do what he wants. This is a guy who in his free time makes dresses. I don't know if you know that. He designs dresses, okay? So if anybody follows me and knows me, I don't think I'm going to bend to the fucking dressmaker anytime. The male dressmaker, I don't think that's going to happen. And whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, I mean, he can be a fashion designer. That's fine. I don't mind that. I just don't like his totalitarian attempts to control the flow of information.
Well, I'll tell you what they say here in a minute, because I just got something from these idiots. It says, you violated our rules against posting misleading information about voting. You may not post content providing false information about voting or registering to vote. It's not false.
Yeah, right.
So it won't be false, just like the Hunter Biden laptop wasn't false. They just decide what's false and what's not false. They try to curb it, right? They try to curb it. And now I'll just have to fucking talk about it on my podcast tonight. I'll have more information for the podcast in the morning. We'll blow it out in the morning. We'll blow it out on True Pundit, and we'll do the best we can. And fuck Twitter. Fuck Twitter. I don't see if people support what we're doing individually on these platforms. We don't need Twitter. We don't need Facebook. We don't need it. They're fucking obsolete. That's why I'm not like, I'm not going to go bananas over it, because I'm sure it'll be rectified. It's like one more thing. You got to pay the lawyers now and everything else. And it's, we don't make that.
That's what they're trying to do, though, Mike. Every time they get you to call up a lawyer and it costs a couple $100, they don't care. Jack Dorsey is sitting on $1 billion or whatever. I mean, here's the thing. We've heard another dope, Devin Nunes, yelling and screaming about, ending the Communications Decency Act, Section 230. He's trying to sue Twitter with incompetent lawyers and incompetent lawsuits. That's not what we should do. We just need to enforce that law. I think it does need some updating, but what they just need to do is tell people like Twitter and Facebook, if you want this immunity from lawsuits, you cannot just arbitrarily decide what's true and take it down. I think a more appropriate process, Mike, would be for them to say, hey, we question this, and put some kind of flag on it. They have a right to do that on their own platform, but it should have to enter some sort of arbitration process where a third party listens to their side of the story and your side of the story, and then decides if the tweet can stay and if your account gets some kind of punishment, because they're judge, jury, and executioner just by deciding you've posted something false. They've provided no evidence that contradicts what you've given us. They just said it's false.
Nor do they have the wherewithal to prove that it's false. That's they don't have the wherewithal to prove that it's false, right?
Correct.
They're geeks. They're not journalists. They're geeks. So what do they know about anything? They don't know anything. They couldn't even get laid in high school. They're worried about me. These fucking guys. You know what I mean?
People are asking what I'm wearing. I think this is a out of print, limited edition True Pundit baseball jersey, and I don't know if people can get this anymore. But what's happening with the book? When we busted that social engineering operation around the Gold Star families and the Falconer, I think a lot of people became very interested in Payne, how he dismantled the FBI in our pajamas. Anybody who missed it when it came out more than 2 years ago was catching up. Once again, you are way ahead of the curve.
Well, I mean, it's hard work. It's like anything else in life. You try to teach your kids, you try to teach your loved ones. If you put the hard work in, everything will work out. And it's really, there's no magic formula. It's hard work, and it's not burning people, and it's not backing down from fucking cowards. These people are cowards, right? That's what they do. They're not about the truth. They're about furthering their political ideologies and being tyrants and every bad regime that started through world history, these guys were the same types of people that were behind it. It sounds crazy, but it's true.
You mean controlling information first, controlling your access to stuff? Yeah.
And there's always been guys like you and I saying, yo, throw us a bone over here. We're trying to, and then the the people who really profit are the liars, guys like Bannon and all these guys, and their whole fucking all his minions. It's like those guys are rolling in it. They're laughing because all they do is tell lies, and they get paid to tell lies, right? They don't get hassled. They don't get hassled on any of these platforms because they're all part of the club. They're part of Club Liar. They're part of Club, LARP. And
What was
it's
going
insane.
on, Mike, I hear a lot of people now talking about this Hammer thing, and apparently Steve Bannon is behind Mary Fanning. Mary Fanning is out of her mind.
Yeah. I haven't heard too much about that, so I can't really speak about that.
I haven't heard too much about it either, but it's amazing to me. The Hammer is like a 10, 15-year-old platform, and then there was something else. They had Scorecard, but like if somebody told you, I'm using a Commodore 64 to do all this stuff, it's like, wait a minute, that thing is so old. How could it still be viable? I don't know. And it was built according to another guy who I suspect of being a liar, Mike Zullo. It was built in, what's his name's garage. So you're telling me that that's still state-of-the-art spying technology? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Look, I don't know anything about the Hammer. I don't. I mean, I've read about it and stuff, but there's so much conflicting information. I'd have to research and to talk to people, and I don't have that wherewithal. So,
but as you said,
great.
These guys, they just bring up whatever their agenda is, and it doesn't ever seem to get them kicked off of platform. Bannon is getting jammed up with lawsuits in the Southern District or criminal charges or whatever.
That, like I said, that could be a drop in the bucket. It might be he might be seeing more stuff. You know what I mean? These people are crazy. Once the feds get their hooks in you and they start subpoenaing your information and stuff like that, who knows what they're going to come after you for? It's really hard to say. It's not an enviable position to be in regard to anything really. It's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, people in the comments are talking about some early results. I think it's probably a surefire way to get this YouTube video dinged if I do that. I'd rather hold off until we get to the sponsor exclusive segment, which is only about 5 minutes away. People can join us on subscribestar.com/truepundit, patreon.com/truepundit, or Subscribestar or Patreon/crowdsource the truth. And have you activated the annual subscription option, Mike, on Patreon?
I'll tell you, I've been so swamped. I don't even, I've been so swamped. I get calls like that all day, right, on different things, and it's like boom, boom, boom. Then we have to vet things when we call it. This I didn't have to vet because I know the guy is a fucking top guy in the state, and he gave us some information yesterday too that turned out to be true. They locked the state house down. We tweeted that out. You know what? Huh. It's going to come down to this, just like cable TV back in the day. And I'll just end with this. If you find people that you trust, you got to dig deep and you got to support them. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, they're not going to be around.
Right.
Because there's too many carpetbaggers, too many grifters, too many LARPers out there telling you lies and cashing in. It's as simple as that.
Well, but it's too much of a risk for you and I and people who are doing this that people, there's so much downside that if we can't earn a living doing it, it's obvious that we would just go and do something else. But I think that most people get that at this point. Any of these public comments that are kind of disparaging you and I for having this kind of business model are just people trying to distract and people trying to get people to go away here. There's a lot of energy in the chat tonight, and people are definitely curious to know what's going on. I do want to remind people that when they sponsor Mike and the team at True Pundit on Patreon or Subscribestar, they're going to get early access to the Thomas Paine podcasts and the commercial-free video version of Paine in the Morning. Mike's been doing some really amazing interviews. Unlike the Instagram bikini model, poker playing, falcon loving individuals who just put out stupid statements that are unvetted. Mike's been publishing.
Why weren't they thrown off of Twitter? Why weren't they suspended? Are you kidding me? Stuff was crazy. That was reckless. That was reckless. Drug a lot of gold families into that. Gold star families. Yes. That's reckless stuff. Reckless.
It's a great point, though. They let Anna Kate not only tweet all that crap and, say stupid lies about me and accuse. She said I lied, but she never said what I lied about, and I didn't lie about anything. But they let her stay on Twitter. They let her almost double her Twitter following in like a week, which I don't think I've ever seen that happen. So it's an amazing phenomenon that you're pointing out. But Mike, we're about to transition over to the sponsor exclusive segment. And if there's anybody watching who hasn't seen the show on there before, now's the time to become a sponsor. It's literally less than the cost of like one New York Times newspaper to watch for a whole entire month. And if you don't like it, you just don't have to re-up the following month. But we're going to be getting into some of the details and some of the things that we're in danger of getting immediately shut down for. We might get shut down, but I think just the nature of the way the technology at Vimeo works, they need a little time to listen to it and shut it down. They're not as on the button as some of the others. So we'll see everybody over there in just a few minutes.
People know where to find us. If you can't find us in this, you're in Cat Box. Look for us. We're on the other places.
And we'll be back in just a few minutes, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you over on Patreon and Subscribestar.